Hello and welcome to the first lecture on the wisdom literature. And again, just like before, this is going to be a brief overview video, and then you'll have a longer video that goes into more detail about the wisdom books. And so basically all I want to do here is just kind of give you an overview on what wisdom literature is. And when you think about wisdom literature, it includes the Psalms and the Song of Solomon, but I want to first think about Job and Proverbs and Ecclesiastes, because these three books give us kind of three different angles on biblical or godly wisdom. So the book of Proverbs gives us basic principles for living, especially aimed at young men. Now that's just because the Proverbs begin as a father giving advice to his son. And so we need to keep that in mind as we try to understand the genre of Proverbs. But it, of course, has application. The principles have application across all of life. So it's these basic principles for living. We'll get more into detail in it in the detailed video. But it's proverbial wisdom. And then Job and Ecclesiastes deal more, rather than with the general truth of wisdom in the world, they deal with more the difficult issues. So Job deals with the question of why is there suffering in the world? Why do seemingly good people suffer? And how are we to deal with kind of the inequities of life, tragedies of life? And in Proverbs, you'll learn that, hey, basically, the righteous prosper. If you do the right thing, things will go well for you. If you do the wrong things, things won't go well for you. But Job reminds us there's exceptions to that. And in this broken, fallen world, there is suffering. Even people who try to live for God will suffer. The book of Ecclesiastes deals with the main philosophical questions and issues that so many people deal with, like what's the point of life? What should we pursue for satisfaction? And gives us answers to those, saying, basically, life under the sun is vanity, is empty, and you can go after pleasure, you can go after learning, you can go after kind of riches, success, all these different things, but none of those ultimately satisfy. And then the book of Ecclesiastes tells us where true life is found, and it's in the fear of the Lord. And I'll talk about that in the larger lecture, but the fear of the Lord is, according to Proverbs chapter 2, the beginning of wisdom. The beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. The beginning of knowledge is the fear of the Lord. So the place to start is not just in thinking. The place to start is in recognizing who we are and who God is and where we are in position under God, and to trust in and reverence Him, thereby opening up our minds and our lives to receiving wisdom from Him. I'll give you another definition of wisdom later on, but I like this one as well. A definition of Old Testament wisdom. Wisdom is basically the very practical art of being prudent, sensible, and skillfully insightful so that one might prosper and have good success in life. So wisdom has to do with, how do you walk in a way that's wise in the world? How do you figure out the way things work and live according to that under God? Now, all the wisdom literature books are clustered around the Davidic king. And so you have, the Pentateuch, the law is given, God is the king of his people, there's a prophesied king coming, David becomes this king, his son Solomon becomes a king, and so the nation of Israel is gathered in the land under God's king, and it was during the kind of the height of the monarchy under David and Solomon when most of the wisdom literature is written and is talked about. So, for example, the Psalms are, many of them are written by King David. The Song of Solomon we're not 100% sure of the author for all of it, but it's put into the voice of Solomon. Ecclesiastes, seen as wisdom from Solomon. And then, of course, the Proverbs, many of them are from Solomon. So the Davidic king is kind of the source, or the one around which this wisdom is given to Israel by God. But wisdom ultimately points forward to the ultimate King, to Jesus Christ. Wisdom finds its ultimate expression and fulfillment in Him. In Colossians, or in 1 Corinthians 1:30, it says that Jesus Christ is our righteousness and our wisdom. In Colossians 2:3, it also talks about the wisdom of God being in Jesus Christ. And so all of these truths find their personification, find their kind of outworking in the life of Christ, and we come to know wisdom through, according to the Bible, through reliance on God, trust in Him, and following His wise, perfect King, Jesus. And so you need to watch the second video and get more detail into all these books. And you'll need to watch these, of course, and read all the readings from your book and the scriptures in order to be able to pass the quiz. All right.